Imagine this. You wake up tomorrow in the middle of the continent, no phone, no GPS, no modern medicine. All you have is a silver-coated blade, a leather jacket, and a single potion to swallow. And everywhere you look, there are monsters that want to eat you. Everyone loves watching Geralt fight monsters. But no one talks about the brutal survival reality that makes his job impossible. We're not talking about swords and magic today. We're talking about real science, biochemistry, thermodynamics, metallurgy, the stuff that would actually kill you long before a griffin ever got his claws on you. Today we're breaking down exactly how long you would survive as a witcher. And I promise you the answer is way shorter than you think. We're going to expose all the things the games and shows never tell you about resource scarcity, physiological toxicity, and the brutal logistics of living alone in a monster-infested wilderness. Part 1. The physiological toll of toxicity. Let's start with the most obvious thing everyone ignores. The potions. You think chugging a decoction looks cool? Every single time Geralt drinks one, he is actively poisoning himself. Witcher potions are not vitamins. They are concentrated toxins made from monster organs and venom. In real life, drinking even a drop of most monster venom would shut down your organs in minutes. And witchers drink entire bottles of this stuff multiple times a day. Let's talk about the liver. Your liver's job is to filter toxins out of your blood. A normal human can process about one standard drink per hour. A witcher potion is like drinking 50 shots of vodka at once. Even with their accelerated metabolism, their livers are taking massive damage every single time they drink. And here's the part no one talks about. That accelerated metabolism requires a ridiculous amount of calories. A normal human eats about 2,000 calories a day. A witcher would need at least 1,000 calories a day just to survive the poisoning. That's 50 eggs, 10 loaves of bread, or 3 whole chickens every day. So before you even pick up your sword, you have to find enough food to feed a small army. And if you can't, the potion will kill you before the monster does. That's the dirty secret of witcher physiology. Their greatest strength is also their greatest weakness. Part 2. Thermodynamics of the Northern Realms. Now, let's talk about the weather. You think the biggest threat in Skellige is the sirens. No, it's the cold, and the combination of the two that will kill you faster than any monster. Skellige is basically Iceland on steroids. Sub-zero temperatures, constant rain and wind that can knock you off your feet. And hypothermia doesn't care if you're a witcher. It doesn't care how strong you are. It just needs you to get wet and cold. In the games, you wear a single piece of leather armor and you're fine. In real life, that's a death sentence. Wet leather conducts heat away from your body 25 times faster than dry leather. If you get caught in the rain in Skellige, you will be dead from hypothermia in 3 hours, max. Real survivalists use a layering system. A base layer to wick away sweat, a middle layer to trap heat, and an outer layer to block wind and rain. The Witcher armor is the exact opposite. It's heavy, it traps moisture, and it offers almost no insulation. And don't even get me started on high-altitude hypoxia. The mountain passes in the Northern Realms are over 1,000 feet high. At that altitude, you lose 30% of your physical strength. Even a witcher would struggle to swing a sword, let alone fight a monster. So the next time you see Geralt walking through a snowstorm in a leather jacket, remember this. In real life, he would be a popsicle before he even saw the monster. Part 3. Metallurgy and weapon maintenance in the field. Now let's talk about your most important tool. The silver sword. Everyone thinks silver is the monster killing super metal. But in real life, silver is terrible for swords. Silver is soft, way softer than steel. If you make a sword out of solid silver, it will bend or break the first time you hit something hard. That's why witchers use silver-plated steel blades. But even that has huge problems. Monster hide is thick and tough. Every time you hit a monster with your silver blade, you are scraping off tiny pieces of the silver plating. After 5 or 6 hunts, the silver will be gone. And then your sword is just a regular steel sword, which is useless against most monsters. And then there's rust. You're out in the rain and mud every single day. Steel rusts. Fact. If you don't clean and oil your sword every single night, it will be a useless piece of metal in a week. In the games, you just press a button and your sword is fixed. In real life, you need a forge, an anvil, a grindstone, and hours of work to repair a damaged blade. And you're in the middle of the woods with none of that stuff. So let's do the math. You can kill about 5 monsters before your silver sword is useless. And then what? You're stuck in the middle of nowhere with no way to defend yourself. That's the logistical nightmare no one talks about. Part 4. Practical field medicine and infection control. Now, let's talk about getting hurt. You think the worst part of fighting a monster is getting bitten? No. The worst part is what happens after. Because there are no antibiotics on the continent. A single scratch from a monster's claw is a death sentence. Monster claws are covered in dirt bacteria and rotting flesh. Even a tiny cut will get infected. And without antibiotics, that infection will turn into sepsis. And sepsis kills 90% of people who get it in a pre-medical world. The swallow potion helps, but it's not magic. It's just a strong coagulant that stops you from bleeding out. It doesn't kill bacteria. It doesn't fix broken bones. It just buys you a little time. And what about blunt force trauma? If a griffin hits you with its wing, it will break your ribs. A broken rib can puncture your lung, and there's no hospital to fix that. You're alone in the woods with a punctured lung, and you will die slowly and painfully. Let's be real. Most witchers don't die fighting monsters. They die from infection. They die from a tiny scratch that they didn't think was a big deal. They die because there's no doctor, no antibiotics, no one to help them. That's the most brutal part of the witcher lifestyle. You can be the best fighter in the world, but one bad scratch and you're dead. Part 5, the logistics of resource scarcity. Finally, let's talk about the big one, resources. Everything you need to survive is finite, and you have to carry all of it on your back or on your horse. Let's start with calories. We already talked about how you need 1,000 calories a day, but food is heavy. A pound of dried meat has about 1,000 calories. So you need to carry 10 pounds of food every single day. That's 70 pounds of food for a 1 week trip. And that's not counting water potions or your sword. Horses help, but horses need food too. A horse eats about 20 pounds of hay a day. So now you have to carry food for you and food for your horse. And if your horse dies, you're stuck carrying everything yourself. And then there's the psychological toll. The survival rule of 3 says you can survive 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. But you can survive 3 seconds without hope. Most people go insane from isolation after 3 months alone. Witchers are alone 90% of the time. No friends, no family, no one to talk to. Just monsters and silence. That psychological damage is just as deadly as any monster. It makes you careless. It makes you make mistakes, and mistakes get you killed. So when you add it all up, the toxicity, the cold, the broken swords, the infections, the lack of food, how long would you actually survive as a witcher? My guess, 3 days. At the end of the day, the witcher lifestyle is impossible. It's not the monster that would kill you. It's the science. The simple biological and physical rules that govern our world. The games and shows make it look cool and easy. But in real life, you would be dead before you even took your first contract. And that's the thing no one ever talks about. Geralt isn't just a good fighter. He's a walking miracle of survival. So tell me in the comments, how long do you think you would survive on the continent? What's the first thing you would do to stay alive? And what other fantasy world do you want me to break down with real science next?